Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about revenue streams, right? And revenue streams are basically the ways in which you're going to gain revenue, and then thinking about the opportunities that exist to make money from the same products or services that you're currently selling right now. So, what are revenue streams? So, all companies have a lot of different ways in which they might be able to make money. And a lot of times they have multiple ways to be able to sell the same product or service, just in different avenues, right? So it's not just about how you're actually going to craft or what the product or service is, but how you're actually going to get it into the hands of the customer so that they're going to pay you for that product or service. All right. I'll explain a few in a moment, but just keep that in mind, right? It's really important to know that it isn't just about, oh, hey, I have this product or service and I'm going to sell it. It's like, what is the best way to actually get that into the hands of the customers that they want, right? And so some questions you can ask yourself is, what do customers actually pay for, right? What is it the thing that they are currently paying for with respect to their solution? How would they prefer to pay, right? Is there a different way that you can think about that opens up some interesting opportunities? And are there other opportunities that offer customers a different way to use or purchase whatever your offerings are or whatever your product is, right? As an example, let's take, for example, a hotel room, right? So individuals, they say, hey, I want to go to a new city and I'm willing to pay on a per night usage for a hotel, right? Then somebody shows up and says, hey, well, that's interesting, but maybe somebody would be interested in sort of prepaying or having it in a different kind of way. Then you have things like timeshares, right? It's the exact same room that an individual might rent, but certain people are saying, hey, I want to pay up front because I want to stay longer. Others might say, well, I'll just pay as I go, right? And those are very different kinds of operate models, and there's things to think about with respect to each of those, but something to think about with respect to your product or service, right? So let's talk about the types of revenue streams, right? So the most basic one is probably the asset sale, right? Which is, I have a physical asset and I'm going to sell it to you. So it's a one-to-one exchange. This is mainly for like grocery stores with food or clothing stores. I have food. You want to buy it. I sell it to you. Now you own it, right? End of transaction. A usage fee is when individuals are paying for use of a specific thing, right? So when you buy a phone, you pay them to use their network, right? That's what you're paying for. You stop paying, you stop having access to the network, right? Utilities are the same way, right? Cable, I pay and I have cable. I stop paying, I no longer have cable. And you pay me based on the amount of things that I use. An example of cable, the channels, same thing with electricity or water, like all of these things is just a set usage fee. Subscription fee. Now these are becoming much more popular than they were in the past, and most companies try to figure out some way to have subscriptions. But Netflix could easily sell you, hey, you want to watch a movie? It costs you a flat rate, and that's it. But they say, well, actually, why don't you pay us every month and then you can watch whatever you want, right? Same thing with other softwares, right? This is very common sort of in the tech space, right? But there are companies that have done it in other areas, right? So like Birchbox, right? They ship out, samples every month. And every month you get different ones and different things. But as long as you're paying that monthly fee, you'll continue to get the boxes. Lending, renting, and leasing. Customers pay for use of a particular asset for a specific period of time, right? So a great example is for most folks that have moved, they might have bought or used a moving van or a truck. And so they, rented the van for the day, right? Those kinds of things is like, you don't actually own it. So you don't own the U-Haul truck, right? They're giving you the U-Haul truck for a certain period of time so that you can use it, but you don't own it. So you can't do whatever you want with it. And that is how the exchange sort of sets. They set a set price. There's a lot of opportunities for you to be able to do the same thing with, an apartment, right? It's a piece of real estate, but you don't own it. You're just renting it for a set period of time. And then there's a contract, lease agreement, and things like that. The next few, licensing, right? So you may have something. In a lot of cases, it might be a logo or some sort of level of intellectual property, and you license it out to someone. This happens a lot with like sort of sports teams and team apparel or logos. the team owns the rights to the logo, and they license it out to a t-shirt dealer or a person that makes basketballs that says, hey, you can put our logo on this, but you're going to pay me a fee to actually be able to do that. The brokerage fee is when sort of someone serves as an intermediary. This could be financial, this could be real estate, where I'm paying you a fee to handle either transactions or match me with individuals and companies to be able to facilitate what I'm needing, whether that's a financial, like I said, transaction, or whether that's, buying a piece of property. And the last one, advertising, right? So you may get money from advertising a particular product or service, right? So this might be in the form of website ads, or maybe like, hey, you personally are endorsing something, or your product is used as a part of sort of advertising with other products or things like that. So a lot of things to think about with respect to your revenue streams, but it's important not to just get fixated on exactly how you are actually selling the product or service right now, because there could be interesting opportunities as things change, as technologies change, as people's interests change, where you may be able to have the exact same thing that you're currently selling right now, but you're able to either find different customers who are interested in that product, but just not in the way that you're selling it, that may be willing to become customers of yours if you are changing the way with which you're open to getting revenue into the business. All right, and we'll be back in a little bit to talk about the rest.